Okay guys, here I am again with another video uh, on the coaching community which I'm now hosting. One guy asked me uh, a good question. He was wondering like what's the best way to rest before a competition so you feel great at the tournament. And I think I talked about this topic before on YouTube. I'm sure I mentioned it somewhere, but let me just do another video on it. So yeah, it's always quite a difficult thing to balance um, two things. Like you're trying to first of all be fresh, which means you sometimes you need to just rest and do nothing, uh, which really uh, allows your nervous system to recover and your muscles, everything, tendons, joints, muscles, everything just recover. You do nothing. But then if you do too much of nothing, then maybe you start feeling a little bit too loose. If you stop the table practice sessions 2 weeks before a competition and you just do nothing at all, maybe you start by the end of the 2 weeks, just right before a competition, you might start to feel like the muscles are not working as well as they used to, just kind of a little bit too loose. So these two things are quite hard to balance because again, if you stop the table practice, but then you keep maybe going to a gym and doing some light gym sessions, just pump the muscle, do some kind of blood flow exercises. If you do too much of that also for a whole 2 weeks before the tournament, then you're also maybe grinding the joints a little bit without even noticing. Maybe the nervous system is somehow always engaged and doesn't really have a break to relax fully. So yeah, so those two things are basically really hard to balance. And that's why my best advice, and feels like really the best system I found over many years. And by the way, I'm only doing this for I don't know how many years, just let's say a few years, 3, 4 years, and it feels fantastic. It really feels great. So the thing which I found to work the best is, and this is just an example, of course, you might need to kind of adjust it to your own level of fatigue and things like that, but let's say we stop the table sessions 2 weeks before the match, right? And up until then, we went hard, so the joints and tendons and muscles, everything is kind of fatigued, right? So then maybe I'm trying to find a way to explain it in the best way, and I'm thinking about some kind of wave. You are hitting some high peak, you are working very hard, you need to relax, so you kind of go down, and then you need to slowly come back for the peak again, and the competition should be somewhere here. So let's say you train hard, it's a nice peak, you need to relax, and then before the competition you should already kind of be going up again. Because you cannot just train super hard, have a nice resting period, and then the competition is here, you will use a lot of power here, but you are kind of not ready for the power yet. You are kind of in the downward slope. So that's why, resting is nice, but also having that comeback period where you going harder and harder right before a tournament is also cool. So that's why my system is, first of all, resting for a week, doing literally nothing, even some kind of pumping and recovery and blood flow, even those things, I think you should stop all of that. Just complete rest, just good food, sleep, very little movement. And that thing really allows your nervous system and somehow the body to fully restart. Like, it's such a nice restart. You may not feel how well it works, but it just having that restart is so nice, so important. So basically you're really deloading, relaxing completely for a week, full week, which I know is sometimes scary to do. Doing literally nothing is not easy also. But then the last week before the tournament, that's where you start blood flow a bit more, light exercises. What I like to do is I even go back to the table again, and I don't really pull hard at all, but just static positions, just kind of basically warming up to the point where I would maybe be ready to arm wrestle more seriously, but I'm not arm wrestling more seriously. I'm just kind of just warming up, feeling the joints, feeling that okay, it would be nice to arm wrestle already, but I'm trying to keep myself from it. So that's basically the main idea. And of course, it's sometimes hard to manage time. What do you do if you only have 12 days left? What do you do if you only have 16 days left? But try to follow the idea where you deload fully for a week at least, and then start going back up. You do one table session where you kind of, warm up, take another day, or 2 days break, and then maybe 3-4 days before the competition, again another table session, which is a bit heavier, still just maybe 30%, but somehow the body really starts to feel the joints again, starts to be ready for that tournament day. Okay, so this is the general idea. We'll go more into specifics on the community coaching page. Boom. Ciao.